guys, this is Jeff.
I'm Beth.
I'm Charlie.
This is Bourbon and Ballz. We're on site at Boone County Distillery today, and we have Josh with us. He's our co-owner, co-founder?
Co-founder and co-owner.
Co-owner, okay. We're here to discuss their offerings.
Yeah, so just like we did for you viewers over at Northside, we're going to do the same thing. Obviously, Boone County, at least for me, I think other people here at the table, Boone County is a pretty well-known distillery that kind of doesn't need as much as an introduction than what we did last time. I think a lot of you guys out there have tried Boone County, even on a national level, for those who I talked to. But just real quick, how we came about Boone County real quick is, I gotta be honest with you, like we all, just like we mentioned on these live, or on these videos before, like we tell you guys about our tastings that we do like every few months. And, you know, someone brings a bottle and all that kind of stuff. And I've always seen Boone County on the shelf. I mean, they're everywhere, right? And one gentleman, I forget who brought it to one of our 12 bottle tasting, and it ended up winning the night. And it was just, I would imagine their guys' flagship, the Boone County Small Batch, and it won that evening. So it had some stiff competition, and I'll try to find those bottles that it ran against. But they're definitely well-known brands. So we figured, you know what, we got to give these guys more props than just saying, hey, we won the 12 bottle blind, and you guys were gracious enough to invite us down here. And great facility. So we'll let you kind of take it on as far as tell us, you know, obviously the past, the history of it, how it all started, and where you guys are at today.
Yeah, great. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. It's great to be here. It's been a surreal 10 years or 11 years, whatever it's been, for a guy like me to be part of a distillery. If you've toured this great place, viewers can't see it from the screen right now, but if you were to walk around this facility, you'd see 3,000 barrels just about 50 yards over that way to my left, and you'd see about 3,000 barrels aging in the warehouse. And we really don't let anything go until it's 5.5 years old.
Really?
That's the target range.
Maybe that's why the small batch was so good.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Because most are like, you know, 3-4 years. 4 years is usually what I see a lot as a baseline.
No, nothing goes out of the facility that's younger than 5.5.
Wow.
Like
That's probably why.
Yep.
So the story of it, it's really a great story. So just like all of us here and the folks that are listening, I'm just an average guy. So I'm a retired law enforcement officer, for those that don't know that. I spent many years, and I know that you're all from north of Cincinnati.
Yes.
So I spent a couple of years with Hamilton County Sheriff Simon Lease Jr.
Oh, yes.
I was with Sheriff Lease for a couple of years. I left Sheriff Lease and I came over to Kentucky, and I had no intent of staying in Kentucky to be a law enforcement guy. My goal was to get some experience and then move on to the FBI and then figure out where the winds take me from there. But I ended up with the Boone County Sheriff's Office, where I spent most of my career. And I met my wife, where we have 3 kids, and I just live a couple miles down the road. And then my last 7 years, it came full circle, and I went back to the FBI, and I completed a 7-year stint out of the Louisville headquarters office, the Covington Resident Agency, where I investigated terrorism. So foreign and domestic terrorism.
I love how this is about to tie in.
Foreign and domestic terrorism, national security issues. Funny enough, I left just after January 6th. You know, so I was there for ISIS, school shootings, COVID. You know, January 6th is when I had 26 years and 8 months in the system. It was time to leave, and I moved on. So tying into bourbon, my business partner and my best friend is Jack Wells. He's in the coal business. So a little fact about me, how did we get here, comes from my law enforcement background. So in addition to being a cop, and by the way, I retired with the rank of major. That means So I was higher up. Out of a 200-person agency with the sheriff's office, I was probably hovering somewhere around the top 5, which was fun. And management stinks, by the way.
Yeah,
it's more fun. It's more fun to drink whiskey than it is to make whiskey and run the business. So we're gonna have fun today. Anyway, I met my business partner He opened up a bar and pub. He's a coal person by trade, so he's a coal broker, international coal guy. It's Kentucky, so Kentucky, he's got coal, he's got bourbon, doesn't own any horses. So maybe we'll get the trifecta one day out of that, but he's in the coal. So he opened a pub in Covington, Kentucky called Jack Quinn's. So funny enough, my name is Josh Quinn. His name is Jack Wells. Back then, we didn't know each other.
Okay.
But he had a pub called Jack Quinn's. So, and if you really ever think about like when two people come together and things are just kind of meant to be, the universe comes together, brings people together, and good things happen, and that was really the start of it. So another little tidbit about me is I play the bagpipes, and I've played for 30 years, and I'm primarily just a police, fire, military piper. I don't play bars. I typically don't do that fun of events. I do, pretty serious events. But anyway, I did play a bar one time, and it was Jack Quinn's. And I don't drink any alcohol when I play my music because I forget my music. You can't drink and play music. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So a bunch of old Scottish guys taught me how to play the bagpipes, and I was with them, and they were drinking and eating, and I thought they were just having a little too much fun. So I went to say thank you to who I thought was the managers of the place. And it's a very high-end Irish pub. It was a guy standing on the street corner, and he had on this very loud Letterman jacket. Like, remember high school?
Oh, yeah.
Letterman jackets?
Oh, yeah.
He had on this loud Letterman jacket that said Jack Quinn's. And he was standing by himself, and he looked like the boss. So I went to go, just like our mom and dads all taught us, say thank you to people when they're being good to you. And then I offered to take a collection to help pay for, I think, what we were doing. We were drinking a lot of high-end scotch. And he said, don't worry about it. So we struck up a friendship that's lasted 30 years. We figured out we both lived in the same community. And one day he said, can I ride around in a police car with you? So that was way early in my career when I was a street cop. And he rode around in my police car, and we got to know each other. And then, I don't know, 20 years into our relationship, we were in his basement, and we were having fun one night. And we were drinking. He was a Canadian whiskey drinker, funny enough, and I was a bourbon drinker. I actually went from Scotch to bourbon, but he was strictly a Canadian whiskey drinker.
Okay.
And he's an entrepreneur. The coal business was on the downward slide, right? Just because that's the way the ebb and flow of the industry is. So he was bored. And if you all know what entrepreneurs are, when they get bored, they just want to build something else. They want to get involved in something else. And that's him. So we're in his basement, and a commercial for moonshiners comes on. And not to be, I'll say how I feel about it. So I'm probably saying too much, but you've got Tim and Tickle and the guys with the bib overalls with no shirts, and it's reality TV where the police are chasing them. It's complete just reality TV, and we all know what that is. So the commercial comes on, and Jack says, let's build a distillery. How hard can it be?
Yeah.
And from a cop and a coal guy to get where we're at today is really quite a feat. So I'm good at asking questions. And from that day in my life, I folded it into my workday. Every free minute I had, I was always investigating how to build a distillery. So I have an investigative background, and I was always investigating how to build a distillery. So I used those skills to develop relationships, to find the right people, the right answers. And then once I got to a certain level, I gave it to Jack, and he knew what to do with it from there.
Okay.
Wow.
And then here we are, right?
Yeah, and sorry, it's loud. We've got a tour going on right now.
Oh, no,
So
that's
we're in a
fine.
busy space. We got tours all day. It's a lively place.
But it's a nice active place, for sure.
Yeah, very active.
Real quick before we get too deep into it, tell people at home as far as what is the address down here so people know how to get down here. And then, what does it look like, business hours and all that stuff?
Yeah, so we're located on Interstate I-75, about 14 miles south of Cincinnati, about 60 miles north of Lexington, Kentucky, and about 90 miles northeast of Louisville. We're located at 10601 Tobin Drive, and if you put that in your GPS, it's going to say Independence, Kentucky. It's actually unincorporated Boone County. It's closer to Florence, Kentucky than it is Independence, but it's right off Interstate 75, and as you're coming north or south, you're going to see these big brown signs on the interstate, tourism signs that say Boone County Distillery, this exit.
All right, and then what are your guys' operating hours?
Operating hours, we run generally speaking Tuesday to Sunday. You can find us open at 10:30 most business days, and then we generally close at 5:30.
And then they can register online for tours. Is that correct?
Yeah, on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, they asked that you register online for tours.
Okay.
So we use a product, I believe it's called Any Road, to book tours. But yes, if you'd like to book a tour, it's boondistilling.com or madebyghost.com, and you can book a tour through that website.
So I got to ask. So you kind of brought it up right now. Is the ghost stories behind Boone County?
Yeah.
Once you tell people, because that's obviously different than I guess any other distillery that we've known. So let's tell the folks at home as far as what is that all about.
Yeah, so Made by Ghost simply references those who came before us. It honors our past, and I've got a visual for you, and I don't know if it's visible on the screen, but you can certainly see an old guy here from our past. So that is William Snyder, and that picture was probably somewhere, I don't know, 1850 or 1860, somewhere in that time frame. This person was one of the owners of Boone County Distilling from the distillery operator from 1833 to about 1900-ish. Made by Ghost simply, and it's located in Boone County, Kentucky on the banks of the Ohio River. It's basically across the river from the old Seagram's facility where MGP as it is today on the Ohio River.
Yeah.
And Made by Ghost just references those who came before us. The picture, when you look at those old black and white pictures and those sepia tone pictures, and you look into the pupils of people, sometimes their pupils aren't there. They're black or they're absent. And one of our designers early on said, you have to have a tagline. So, when you build a distillery, first of all, you have to decide, what do you want to make? Right?
Sure.
Who are you going to be? Do you want to make moonshine? Do you want to make vodka? Do you want to make rum? What do you want to do? There's a lot of categories. We just wanted to make great bourbon and rye whiskey. That's it.
Okay.
Then what do you call yourselves? Is it Jack and Josh's Distillery?
Yeah.
Or do you find some history if you're lucky enough to have it in your community, which we were able to uncover an old distillery, which, by the way, made more whiskey in the 1870s than all the distilleries in Kentucky put together.
Really?
They were big guys.
Okay.
And then Made by Ghost, you have to have a tagline. And the designer came up with this line, Made by Ghost. I didn't like it at the beginning because I thought it was a bit hokey.
Sure.
But 10 years down the road, people always ask that very question. And if you keep people talking about you, then you've done something. Just keep them asking questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great. So your offerings that you guys have as far as with your spirits, I guess I should just say bourbon and rye, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you explain as far as what we have here on the table here?
Sure. So we have a flagship bourbon called Founders Reserve. The Founders Reserve whiskey is, generally speaking, between a 5.5 to 7.5-year-old Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. And the mash bill is 74% corn, 21% rye, and 4% malted barley. So commonly referred to as a 21% rye product.
Okay. All right.
Okay. This is made on our 500-gallon copper pot still. So when you have a copper pot, or when you have a pot still whiskey, we don't call it pot still anymore because, unfortunately, that's got there's a negative stigma in the industry.
There is, because I've had some pot stills, except for one that I wasn't too great about. It leaves that tangy, just weird, dusty kind of feeling.
And it just depends. Everybody does things different. It's no different than going to a craft brewery where you're finding beer and you like the beer, you don't.
Yeah.
So we got rid of the name pot still because it really had a negative stigma in folks' head, and they decided they didn't like it, just like you said.
Right.
So I just tried to remove bias. That's all I wanted to do, and have folks give it a fair shake.
Okay.
So that's our flagship bourbon. That's made in-house. We only make about 400 barrels a year. That's it.
Okay. All right.
We have another bourbon, our small batch bourbon that you mentioned.
Yes.
Your bottle.
That was our winner.
So this one can be anywhere from a 5.5 to 7-year-old, maybe 8 sometimes. It goes into the bottle, but this one is made at the old Seagram's facility at MGP.
Oh, nice.
Now we really don't buy too much from them anymore.
Okay.
But this we can have an unlimited supply if we would like.
Okay.
And it's a bit cheaper. The Founders Reserve is $59.99. And this one comes in at about $50.
So is the Founders your own distillate then?
Yeah, the Founders Reserve, yes, is our own distillate. So most of what we sell, in fact, all of the single barrels that we sell out of the shop, we have single barrel selections every Monday, and they're always the Founders Reserve product, ours.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right. And I see a couple more other bottles over on that end, and we'll go on this side here in a second.
Yeah, so we have a bourbon cream. This widely is a popular product inside of our gift shop. It's basically Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey with cream liqueur. It's delicious. It's good maybe in a root beer float.
Sure. Ice cream.
With ice cream or root beer or whatever. It's a super popular product.
Okay.
And then as we have some other things in front of me, which I'll come back to.
Okay.
But if I can have you pick up, yeah, that one's fine.
All right.
So that one is called Lexington Club. And if you notice the label on that,
Good.
the label is it's taller and wider than the rest of the labels. Here's why.
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry.
What's
I
happening?
didn't know there was a lid on it, or not lid. I was about to pour this sucker on the table. So
Oh.
we're good. Keep rolling.
All right, I like it.
Okay.
Okay. Pour a glass, put a glass under and capture. So the Lexington Club,
Oh, boy.
the Lexington Club whiskey is essentially the Founders Reserve product. The label on it is, we created that product strictly for the label. That goes back over 100 years ago. It was a appellate law case in the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals in the federal court system. And basically you had a group out of, I believe it was Danville or Nicholasville, Kentucky. There were the Nicholasville distillers who had a product called Lexington Club, which was trademarked. And then you had the guys up here, the fourth owners of the distillery, were guys by the name of Freiberg and Workham in Boone County, two Jewish guys. They were very big guys and a very big whiskey pond. They created a product called Lexington Club also. The Nicholasville people let it go on for a little while. And once Boone County started doing very well with sales, they got sued by the Nicholasville distillers for a trademark infringement. Well, when it goes to the U.S. Court of Appeals, the Sixth Circuit, they basically said, Nicholasville lost the case. They basically said, guys, the guys in Boone County have been doing this for a couple of years. You knew they were doing it for a couple of years, but you waited to sue them, okay?
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a long story, and I probably made some missteps on the story, but it's all the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. It's based in history, and it's one of the first bottles that we had received. It's an old authentic bottle, and it's a little 200, maybe 50 milliliter bottle with a super cool label. So and it tells the story on the back. So that's the Lexington Club.
What's the master bill on that?
It's 70, the same one as the Founders Reserve, 74% corn, 21% rye, 4% malted barley.
And then how is this one distilled?
It's the 500 gallon copper pot still.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah. It's essentially the same whiskey as the Founders Reserve. That one we just wanted to put in a throwback label, and it's actually a couple bucks cheaper. So if you're the consumer out there, they're both great
So
buys.
it's the same, but a couple bucks cheaper.
Yeah, because we just wanted to get the label out and get the story out, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Pretty neat.
Now the proof on it will eventually change. Our initial offering is basically 94.8 proof, the same as the Founders, but that's going to change. It's going to drop to probably 90.8, and then that'll be a little more in line with the $42.99 price point. So, and then if you go to that one,
the rum cast.
yeah. So here we are. Here we are on June 28th, 2024, middle of summer. It's hot outside, and it's time. All of us would like to be in the Caribbean and maybe have some kind of a rum drink. But we're in Boone County, Kentucky, so we're going to have bourbon finished in a rum cask with a beautiful label. So that's a 5.5 to 6.5-year-old bourbon finished in a Caribbean rum cask.
Oh, it's got great nose.
Yeah, and that probably finished for, sometimes we wait to see how it tastes. I'm going to guess that one was probably 2 or 3 months, maybe 4 months.
It's pretty good.
And then the last one down there, is that the toasted?
So before we start on this one, I'm going to say now, one of our viewers, Justin, he was quite the connoisseur, and he's tasted quite a few bourbons. This is his favorite toasted bourbon of all bourbons that he's tasted.
Thanks, Justin.
Yes. So I mean, this
Shout
includes
out.
like the Elijah Craig toasted, all the other toasted barrels that are out, the Mick toasted, all those things. He raves about, and I'm supposed to give him a bottle once we leave. See if they have any down there. So,
Yeah.
Justin, this will I'll get you one. But what can you tell us about the toasted?
So the toasted, again, it's going to be our base Founders Reserve product. So 5.5 years old on up to, could be up to 7.5 years old with some barrels. But the 5.5 years old is when we pull that product. And sometimes, why is it between 5.5 and 7.5? In a warehouse, a whiskey warehouse, when people say they rotate barrels, nobody rotates barrels.
Okay.
Not intentionally.
Okay.
They sit there, and you rotate them when you have to get the other barrels. And if
Yeah, unintentionally they get rotated.
yeah, unintentionally get
Right.
rotated. So you just kind of come to the next range of barrels that you'd like to dump. And then when your inventory gets to a certain level where you don't want to dump, let's say, 7-year-old barrels anymore because you're running low, well, then you start going to find younger ones.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always a game of hide and seek in the warehouse.
Okay. All right.
So
Well.
yeah, the toasted, they are finished, of course, out of our 21% rye bourbon recipe, which is finished in a number 4 char barrel that is made. These barrels would have come from Kelvin Cooperage in Louisville.
Okay.
The barrels we use today are Speyside Cooperage in Jackson, Ohio, but these particular products, they've all been finished in Kelvin because the Speyside ones are still maturing to get to that 5.5-year-old mark.
Yeah.
We switched barrel makers a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So the toasted, it's placed, the original barrel is Kelvin number 4 barrel. The toasted barrel comes from Jackson, or Speyside Cooperage in Jackson, Ohio. And that would be finished, anywhere from 2, 3, 4 months, 5 months, just depends what we think tastes good and put it out. And it is the most popular selling barrel finish in the gift shop.
Well, then that even, I guess, solidifies what Justin's saying as far as it's being as good as it is. So.
And that's was it 108 proof? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
And what does this go for?
That one should be at $59.99.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow.
They're pretty good prices.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say,
Especially with that whole adage as far as proof, $10 per proof, and all that kind of stuff. Like people say, I mean, you're right there where you need to be.
So the University of Kentucky, they have the James Beam Institute for Distilling.
Mm-hmm.
They have a college for that now.
Oh, nice.
And they have a conference every year in Lexington, Kentucky at the University of Kentucky. And 2 years ago at the conference, they had a graduate student do a great project on retail pricing. So here's what they say. If you finish your base bourbon, right, let's call this our base bourbon, Founder's Reserve, in a toasted barrel, you could double the price. Now, we don't do that, right? So,
Wow.
we don't do that.
Nice research on that.
So let's say $49.99 is the base price for that. We could sell it for $100 a bottle, the toasted. We don't do that, though.
Okay.
And I would just encourage you, if you're out in the market, pay attention to that when people are selling the barrel finishes, because it's always going to be their base whiskey, finished in some barrel. And if they're doubling the price, they say the consumer will pay that. But take a look for the people that aren't charging quite as much.
Yeah.
That's a good deal.
Oh, something to be said.
yes, yeah.
Did not know.
Yeah.
All right, and then you got a couple more down there that
Yeah.
I'd imagine these are the elite.
Yeah, these are fun. So I'm going to pull one out first. So being a retired law enforcement officer, I've got one that is a single barrel selection, and this is for the Boone County Sheriff's Office.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that is neat.
Yeah, 225th anniversary of Boone County being a county. And I had one of my former colleagues approach me and ask if they could do something special for their 225th anniversary. Now, they have some cool things. They've done some neat badges that the deputies are wearing. And they said, can we get a single barrel? And normally we only sell one single barrel per customer. These guys got 6.
Okay.
Because they sold, I think, it's so popular. Their release event is going to be July 10th here from 5 to 10. It's generally a private event, but you're all invited. The bottle they are selling to the deputies only, so they have a ticket, like a Willy Wonka golden ticket,
Okay.
and then they come redeem them for a bottle, and then they keep the souvenir part of the ticket. So the label, my business partner Jack Wells and I paid for the creation of the label, which is about $12,000 to create one of these labels.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't look like much, but like it's all in from the design to the printing and everything. It's about $12,000.
Oh, wow.
And we're very proud to be a part of that. We're glad they asked us and to be a little part of history. That's neat. We don't do that for everybody, but we did it for them. And then next, we have something that's cool. So for all the basketball fans out there, we have a bottle of Gentleman's Cut Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey that we produce. And this one belongs to NBA superstar Stephen Curry of the Golden State Warriors, 4-time NBA champion, 2-time NBA All-Star. scratch golfer almost.
Oh, he is.
And he is really, truly, and his team, truly nice people. They were here July 8th of last year.
Okay.
They're really, really nice people. Everything that you see on TV, that's the real deal. Great guy. But he had a hand in selecting this when he was here. We have a business relationship with some folks out on the West Coast. And Steph's great because you know what he likes? Just like in his career when he got drafted to the NBA, he was small.
Yeah.
He was underrated.
Okay.
He's got an Apple TV show about himself called Underrated.
Yes.
And he likes to do business with the little guys. So we have a relationship with somebody in Napa Valley who has a bourbon product that they've done with us in the past. And they said, well, what if we bring Steph Curry to the table? And you're going to laugh. I really didn't know who he was. And you know, I just said a celebrity bourbon. I don't know. We'll see. But the more I read about him and the more I told people about it, and you know, it was a pretty big deal.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
So that has been really, really neat, and it's been neat to be a part of it. So everything in these bottles is 5 to 7 years old. And then, believe it or not, just this week, if you would have been here yesterday, this whole area would have been stacked with custom bottles, and there would have been myself, the other owner, Jack Wells, and our head distiller, Michael Wells. We were putting together Steph's 15-year-old product called Player Exclusive.
Oh man.
Which, if you want to buy it, you need an NBA salary.
Yeah.
There's only 100 bottles in the United States, 130 overseas, and it is $4,500 a bottle.
MSRP.
That's it.
Oh my.
So, but this is all over the place. This is distributed by Southern Glaziers. You can find it, generally speaking, all over the U.S. It's a great product, and
So
Yeah.
mash bill on that, is that the same or a little different?
that's a proprietary mash bill.
All right.
74% corn, 21% rye, 4% malted barley, but
Okay.
generally speaking, hand-picked barrels by Steph.
Now,
Nice.
is he an actual bourbon guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So funny enough, when he came here, if you go to his marketing on Instagram or whatever, Instagram's where I traditionally follow him at. But I was here and I saw him, right? So when he would drill into a barrel and drink, you know, he's funny because he likes bourbon. And I did ask one of his best friend
Yeah.
who was here with him, who works for him, and I said, does he really like bourbon? He said, oh yeah, he likes bourbon. I've seen him polish off a half a bottle, maybe a whole bottle sometimes, and then go out and play a great game.
Yeah.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
he's just a superstar. So he likes it. He's always drinking the product. He's always out there selling it, and it's been a lot of fun. So for a retired cop who's not really a basketball fan,
Yeah.
you know, there's one thing we know how to do. What law enforcement taught me was being in the people business.
Yeah.
So being in the people business, we take care of people, we honor our words and our commitments, and it's really simple with guys like him. Just do what you say you're going to do.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, that's that easy. And be loyal.
Well, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, and with celebrity bourbon, you never know.
Right.
You never know what you're going to get. There's not a lot of that.
No.
Well,
There's some bad ones out there.
so let's
Good
talk
God,
about
there's
this.
bad
So
ones.
I'm glad to be on a great podcast that should be on Spotify and should be
Yeah.
it should be marketed globally and worldwide. There are some, though, on the other hand, that I think shouldn't be on Spotify or any
Yeah.
other place.
Yeah.
So, bourbon reviewers. All right, I have learned over time. I actually quit watching. I don't read reviews anymore.
Yeah.
But Stephen Curry and this product, it really is. It's a great product. It's tasty. It's delicious. It's fine. When a celebrity bourbon comes out, and I won't name. I should name the website. I'm tempted to name it, but I won't.
Write it down. I'll name
We'll
it.
get
I'll name it for you.
We don't care.
Yeah, it's got the name Raiders in it. So,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You know.
and it was a complete drive-by shooting and a hit job. It was the worst review I've ever read on any product on planet Earth for anything in my life. I'm 51 and a half. It just had to be our product in this bottle, and I thought, are these guys smoking crack cocaine?
Right. Right.
Because it's a hit job, and it was about a celebrity bourbon. Then you had one on, and I will say this one, Taste Magazine.
Okay.
We didn't. All they got were press releases, as far as I knew. I don't remember the author's name, or I'd give it a nice shout out. That person wrote such a meaningful article. They didn't call us. I don't know who they talked to. Maybe it's the research. I couldn't have written it or expressed it any better myself about how the whiskey was made in a 500-gallon copper pot still, where we're located at, how it's aged, the char of the barrel, you know, all these different things, the nuances with the pot still actually it's a hybrid column and pot.
Okay. Okay.
But he talks about all that, and he talks about what to expect, and the dude was spot on, and it was the best article I've ever read. So this product, I've read the best review I've ever read on anything, meaningful article, and then I read one of the reverse reviews. So it's hard. Reviews are tough sometimes.
They are. There's hidden agendas and whatnot,
Sure.
and I get concerned. Like we try to do as best we can to kind of be as honest as we can. And we had a distiller on last weekend, and it was live, which I was very scared of. And I told Jeff we're taking a chance. That's because if I don't like this bourbon, I don't have a poker face, and it will show. And it's live, so it's not like we can not air it or whatever and all that kind of stuff. But we try to remain true. And there's good bourbon and there's very good bourbon. There's some not so good.
Sure.
But one thing I wanted to ask was, it's not on this table, is that I'm a bourbon hunter myself, and I think I know you're probably where I'm getting at. Your single barrel offerings, the allocation on that are just so enormous from what your SRP was. Why do you think that is? Obviously, it's got to be the fact that the juice is very good. Otherwise, it wouldn't have that kind of a demand. But what makes that so special, you think?
So the question is allocation on single barrels.
Yes.
Okay. We only make 400 barrels of the stuff we produce here. We just feel that single barrels are special.
Mm-hmm.
It benefits us to sell them out of our gift shop. We do them on Monday, and we do one every Monday. We only give 1 barrel per customer. That's it. Except for the sheriff's guys. Or 1 barrel. Well, like 200 bottles might come out.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So a single barrel. Yeah. I'm sorry. Single barrel offering. Yeah. We just feel that it's special, and it's a special product, and we just try not to give it away.
Okay.
We don't want to flood the market with it. And if you're a retailer, we do have plenty of retailers that come to us, and some of them almost demand. When our salesperson goes out into the field, you will have bars and restaurants, and some of them all but demand single barrel products.
Sure.
And they'll tell you, I won't buy anything but single barrels. When our response is, look, we have a whole line of products. You got to support the base brands because they're really good. They want
Right, they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Contest with you. They're really good products. Single barrels do sell a lot, but they're special. And I want to make sure that you're a good partner with us.
Yeah, before you make that commitment.
Before we start offering those, because once you start selling single barrels, it's hard to take them back and make it.
So you do have partnerships with, so not just the gift shop. Could we see a single barrel out in the wild at a local liquor store? Is that what you're saying?
So, being that you're from Ohio, just yesterday, so it's hot off the presses. Just yesterday, our salesperson went to Columbus, Ohio, to OHLQ,
Yes.
Ohio Liquor Control, and they bought 5 single barrels. And the 5 single barrels are Founders Reserve product,
Nice.
6, 7, and 8 years old.
Okay.
So it's a variety of barrels.
Yeah.
I think it's two 6-year-olds, 2 7-year-olds, and an 8-year-old. So those will probably be out. We'll probably have them bottled in the next 8 weeks, I would say,
Okay.
give or take. But those will get bottled, and then they go to Ohio. And
Perhaps
I don't
this
know how
fall, maybe?
Yeah, I would probably say sometime Labor Day-ish,
Okay.
give or take. And I don't know how they advertise those, but they will.
We get emails.
Yeah.
Or at least I know I get the
Yeah.
emails.
I get emails.
We get them, and they'll have sometimes they'll give an email on special drops and special offerings coming up. So I'm sure we'll get one.
And there's going to be a special program. The Kentucky legislature, just this past legislative session, did some really wonderful work. They had this thing called Senate Bill 50. Senate Bill 50 is such a great piece of legislation for small distillers like ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It enables our salesperson to go out in the field and bypass the 3-tier system, just in Kentucky. So in Kentucky, you have the supplier, the manufacturer, which is us. You have the producer. You have the distributor, the middle person, and then you've got the retailer. So you have a 3-tiered system. And our salesperson, funny enough, they can't go sell anything. They're really brand ambassadors.
Okay.
And if a customer wants to buy something, they have to call the distributor. Yeah.
Okay.
So what this will do, our salesperson, and then hopefully in the next couple of months, will be allowed to sell the whiskey, quote unquote, out of the back of his car and swipe the credit card right at the point of sale. And you will probably start seeing more special releases pop up. And we mentioned today, one thing that's not on the table is our Founders Reserve finished in Amburana Brazilian oak barrels.
I would love some of that.
And that is going to eventually hit the wild. That's going to hit out once he can sell out of his car.
Okay, you guys are on the Beeline as well as the Kentucky Bourbon Trail.
Yes.
I was just here last weekend and I picked up one of these, the Beeline Guide. This is it's not just distilleries; it's restaurants and bars and. How's this working for you guys? You guys seeing a lot more traffic through here for this?
Yeah, so the Beeline is something, of course, we know in Kentucky you have the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, right?
Yeah.
Which was just rebranded 2 weeks ago.
I heard about that.
And it's the 25th anniversary of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. So be on the lookout for special bottles with the 25th anniversary.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
As will be coming. The Beeline is something created strictly for the Northern Kentucky region. So the Northern Kentucky Visitor Center and Convention Bureau, which is the tourism arm for Boone County and Campbell County. We created something a couple of years ago, 2017, I think, to draw people up here. I mean, there's so many great things, right? We've got the Bengals, the Reds, FC Cincinnati Cyclones, maybe
Sure.
Reds. We've got, we've got the Creation Museum, the Art. We've got all these things. Cincinnati, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky International Airport, Northern Kentucky University, Thomas More University, all the University of Cincinnati, with all these things for people to come see. Why not bring them over to North Kentucky and give you something to do for distilleries, for bars, and for restaurants? Everything in that guide has been vetted out. There are strict standards to get on the Beeline.
Okay.
Sometimes people come off of it, but if you go to any one of these stops, they're all wonderful, wonderful places. It's thebeeline.com or visit Cincy.com. You can find all of these assets, and they're really wonderful. It gives you something to do.
Yeah. I noticed the Vintage Spirits Revival.
Yeah.
Is on the Beeline.
Yeah.
I've noticed.
Yeah, that's a fun place
Brad
right
and
here.
all that down there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they actually have like tour guides or tours that they can set up to take you around the different places. I mean, you don't have to go to every place, but they set up a tour bus
For the Beeline.
for the Beeline.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then another thing on the new Bourbon Trail either app or website, I understand that I haven't looked at it lately, but I understand that now they're putting, instead of the big main distilleries versus like the craft distilleries, they're now putting them all together, which I think it's nice. I think it'd be great for you guys too, where people can just hit whatever regionally they're at versus like craft distillers. Usually, I would imagine they may get passed over a little bit more because they want to go for the big six or whatever. But it's nice to know that they just blended them all in.
It just makes it easier.
Yeah.
It makes it easier. There were different kinds of distilling partners. And by the way, the Kentucky Distillers Association does a really, really great job with the Commonwealth of Kentucky. They really have done a wonderful job with it. Making it all one line just makes it easier.
Yes.
And you don't have to wonder, is the craft bourbon trail different than the regular bourbon
Right.
trail?
Right.
It's all
Right.
one.
Right. I personally like the craft ones, just because those are you want to support. Kind of like Curry. I even said, but I love to support our local distillers. That's kind of what we do a lot on this show.
Yeah.
And we continue to do this. You guys are our second distiller in as many months, and we have some more lined up that are, maybe bourbons that they have not heard of. But I will say this: when I do talk about Boone County, like I said, I don't need a whole lot of introduction. A lot of people already know your guys' name, especially in the world that I live in, as far as bourbon hunting, especially with your single barrel offerings. I mean, people are trading for those bottles like no other.
So we'll have I'll give you a sneak peek to what's coming here in probably just a couple of short weeks. We're going to have a series called the Portrait Series, and it is going to be 15-year-old, 21% rye bourbon. All right, it was made at the old Seagram's facility, distilled in 2005 or 2006 when Larry Ebersold. If you don't know that name, Google the name Larry Ebersold with Seagram's. It'll tell you all about him. He's a world-class chemical engineer that ran the plant for 20 years, and he worked there for 38 years. He lives in Boone County. So these were some of the original barrels that we purchased. We've only got, I think, 8 barrels left. They've all been bottled, by the way. We dumped them a couple years ago to stop the aging process. So the Portrait Series, each release is going to represent one of the old characters from the old Boone County Distillery story.
Oh man!
So I won't tell you who the first character is going to be. And there's only there's only so many bottles in each barrel. So the first release may have more or less bottles than the second.
Sure.
None of the releases have the same amount of bottles.
Okay.
And then we haven't decided on a retail price for that yet,
Okay.
but yeah, keep your eyes peeled on an email
Oh man.
in the next couple of
You need an NBA salary for those two.
You don't. No. We do pay attention to retail pricing and we see what's out there.
Oh, yeah, you guys are very, very competitive.
And let me just say that the $4,500 bottle of the Steph Curry product, a wonderful story with this is bottle number 1 went to the Golden State Warriors Foundation. All right, it was auctioned off at a dinner and it drew in over $300,000.
Nice.
So Stephen Curry uses that for charitable causes, for good purposes. So keep that in mind when we hear the prices of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that particular one, how much is that gentleman's cut? You might have already said.
$79.99.
Okay. All right.
Not bad at all.
Interesting.
I do have a question as far as you mentioned the brick house or the warehouse over here. The aging process, is it a controlled environment? Do you just allow natural?
Yeah, so funny enough, yeah, it is a natural environment. We have windows. So if the distillery ever goes out of business, that could be a church. It has so many windows. So yeah, there's plenty of natural airflow that goes through there. So describing the building for the viewers who can't see it, the building is a concrete slab. It's a 6-inch concrete slab, and it is a stainless steel building with steel girders. And it is a state of Kentucky high hazard building. It's a high hazard building, which means it has fire suppression systems in it. There are certain distances that has to be away from other structures that are so tall. But it's, natural airflow. Now, funny enough, if you go to Lawrenceburg, Indiana, which is the crow flies, is about 9 miles from here, I'd say, 10 miles, West River. The proofs on the whiskeys there, so their barrel entry proof for Indiana, the last time I heard, was 125 proof was the entry proof. The proofs generally drop over there. I don't know why, but they do. They drop.
Even with evaporation?
Yeah, they drop.
Interesting.
Here at our facility, and I don't know what their facilities are made of, so I don't know the materials.
That's great.
But a stainless steel building, it's just 1 story. The barrels are stacked 6 high racks. The proofs, we put ours in, I'm sorry, 120 proof. The proofs, generally speaking, go up.
Right.
Right? They
Sure.
stay the same or go up. We've had them come out as high as 131 proof.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's crazy. Don't ask me the rhyme or reason behind it. It's just Mother Nature doing her thing.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's Kentucky.
Yeah, right. That's right. It's Kentucky. It makes
There you
better
go.
whiskey.
That's right.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time.
And your patience.
It's always love being educated as far as how things work, and we always learn something new. And again, for you guys watching, especially local viewers, you guys can come down here. Mention one more time as far as how to get down here. Sorry.
So the Boone County Distilling Company is located off of exit 178 on Interstate 75. If you're coming from the Cincinnati area, you're going to go south to exit 178. It's about 14 miles south. You're going to see big brown signs on the interstate that say Boone County Distilling Company. Just follow the directions from there. If you're coming from Lexington or Louisville, same thing, Interstate 75, exit 178. Look for the big brown sign, and you'll find us.
All right. And then you guys are open Tuesday through Sunday.
Tuesday through Sunday.
All right. So, all right. Well, that does it for Bourbon and Ballz for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed another distillery interview. Stay tuned for some other ones down the road. But for now, I'm Charlie.
I'm Beth.
And I'm Jeff. And
I'm Josh.
Josh.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Bye.
Cheers.